Everybody, thanks for tuning into today's video. We're going to have a look at the long-range update from the JMA. It's just come in, as it does every Friday, JMA Friday. Have a look at what it's showing for the next month, and then we'll have a look at some very interesting charts coming up for next week, because it looks like it's going to be turning increasingly cold next week, and potentially, would you believe, increasingly wintry, with perhaps a growing chance of snow. Hard to believe that could happen, but a growing chance of snow coming along later next week. So we'll have a look at that in a moment. Before I get on with that though, just wanted to talk about the advertising. There's video ads on my pages at gazweathervids.com. You hit play on the video ad, you be supporting gazweathervids.com. Thanks very much for doing that. I'm trying out some new banner display ads at the top of the page and in the box around the written summary. So if you want to check those out, you can click through them and go to the advertiser's website if you're interested in what they're showing. Have a look at what they're about. Thanks very much for doing that. And basically just thanks very much for getting involved with the website. What you do pays for the website. It pays me to sit here and talk to you via the website. So yeah, thanks very much for getting involved and supporting gazweathervids.com. So we're going to start off with the JMA model as we do every Friday. These are the 500 millibar height anomaly charts, broken down into weekly periods for the next month. Now the first week period is taking us from today, the 24th, through to the end of January 31st, and what we're seeing is that we've got the deep trough blue colours here sitting to the east and to the southeast. That's a cold trough of low pressure sitting to the east and to the south. Then we've got this area of high pressure out in the Atlantic, and the jet stream is going well south around that trough. So we're on the cold side of the jet, and we've got a trough of low pressure to the south and the southeast. You're going to see the charts in a moment, the general charts, and you'll see that's a pretty good summation of the forecast for the coming week. So with that, we're bringing increasingly cold air in from the northwest and possibly from the northeast as well. Yeah, that's an increasingly cold and potentially increasingly wintry scenario going through the coming week. Now the second weekly period will be taking us through the first week of February, so it'll be taking us from around the 31st to, let's say, the 8th of 31st January to, let's say, the 7th of February, and we've still got the blue colours here to the east of the country, so still got a trough of low pressure sitting to the east, a cold trough. The high pressure is still in the Atlantic, and the jet stream is still running around that trough, so we're on the cold side of the jet. So that again is a cold and unsettled scenario as we move through the first week of February. So the last week of January, first week of February, this could be the time for winter, certainly for people who enjoy snowfall. This could be your time, because those are a couple of cold anomalies for those 2 weekly periods. Now, as we move through to the third and fourth week periods, which is taking us to around the 21st of February, something like that, then we start to see the trough relocating out to the west of the country. So low pressure is still in control, it's still unsettled, but instead of sitting to the east, low pressure is generally sitting to the west. And we're re-establishing the jet stream now. We're starting to push the jet stream through the country as opposed to the south of the country. So basically, it is staying unsettled through that middle part of February, but temperatures are starting to lift up. We're beginning to get westerly winds coming back as opposed to those northerly winds of the earlier period. So yeah, temperatures would be starting to pick up through the middle of February, re-establishing the westerlies. But certainly for the last week of January and the first week of February, the JMA is looking quite wintry there. The CFS actually backs this up very nicely this morning. This is the city forecast from website weatherweb.net. This is for Birmingham, city forecast from the CFS model, and we're starting off pretty mild, but we're going to see, or you can see, that the temperatures do drop quite sharply there as we go through to the end of January. This is February the 1st, just here, and quite a prolonged cold spell sets up. Not severely cold, it's not a severely cold spell, but quite a prolonged cold spell does set up going through to, say, around the 13th or 14th of February. Then as we get through to the middle of February, the 16th, we see the temperatures picking up, and that backs up what we're just looking at with the JMA, really. Temperatures do pick up then, as we re-establish the westerly winds going through towards the end of February. This is the 1st of March, just here. It does become a good deal milder again, but as we get through into March itself, just signs there that temperatures cool off again and it starts to become really quite cold again through the first week of March. But let's worry about that when we get to it. The basic idea for February, the end of January, February, is that it's cooling down through the end of January, setting up quite a prolonged prolonged cold spell, not severely cold, but quite a prolonged cold spell through the first part of February, and then anything from around the 13th, 14th, starting to see the temperatures pick up, and it becomes much milder in the second half of the month. So that's the plan, the longer range plan for February. Let's come back and have a look at the coming weekly period. Very interesting charts this morning. First of all, we'll start off with the GFS model, and here we have that area of low pressure out to the northwest of the country on Tuesday. This is the trigger low. This is the low that comes southwards as we move through into Wednesday. So on Wednesday, the 29th of January, that low pressure sitting just off the southeastern coast of England. Cold air coming down with that. There's a weather front wrapped around it, so that could be giving rain, sleet or snow as that low pressure comes south through the middle of next week. Going to Thursday the 30th, we're in a proper northeasterly flow there. All parts are cold, and that could be bringing snow showers to eastern parts of the country. And then late next week, Friday, this is when we're looking at problems potentially with low pressure trying to come into that cold air off the Atlantic and sort of stalling. So you can see that from Friday into the end of Friday and on into Saturday, there's a definite suggestion there that the low pressure is stalling across the country. Notice the black line here, which is the jet stream going well to the south of the country on the cold side of the jet with a stalling low pressure. That is a signal for snow. Difficult to say where the battle lines would be drawn with that, but I would think further north and east you go, the greater the risk of snow. Now eventually that low pressure does push through, so we start bringing Atlantic air as we go through to Sunday the 2nd of February and on into Monday the 3rd. Signs of the Atlantic starting to re-establish. I have to say the GFS is not a desperately wintry run by any means, but the ECMWF is more interesting. Here we go through the middle of next week, that low pressure up to the northwest on Tuesday. By Wednesday, the low pressure is down for south of the country. It has come southwards. It's the trigger for bringing in the colder air behind it. Weather front would be coming southwards with that low pressure, so rain, sleet or snow moving south across the country. Then for Thursday the 30th, we have this northeasterly to easterly flow across England and Wales in particular. Could be bringing snow showers to the east, mainly dry for the north. All parts would be frosty. And then as we go through to the end of the week, we have the problem with the low pressure coming in from the Atlantic. So look where the low pressure is as we go through to Friday the 31st of January to the northwest of the country, but go through 24 hours. Look at that. Got a major area of low pressure just to the south over northern France, 970 millibars. That low pressure has come into the cold air, developed into a major system and shifted southwards. That could be a proper snow event there across many parts of the country. Don't want you running away with the idea just yet that the whole country is going to be blanketed in inches of snow, because it's too far away to be confident about it by any means. But it is a signal from the ECMWF this morning that something significant could happen at the end of the week and on into the first weekend of February. By Sunday the 2nd of February, that low pressure is shifting away to the southeast of the country, and we're still in a very cold sort of west to northwesterly flow. And then for Monday the 3rd, another area of low pressure is trying to come in off the Atlantic. May introduce milder conditions, or it may die south again. It's very difficult to say which way that will go actually, but certainly up to Monday the 3rd of February the ECM is looking really quite cold, and sometime around Friday, Saturday 31st, 1st of February, there is the chance of a snow event. The GEM finally is even wintry, even more wintry in terms of cold, not necessarily in terms of snow. Here we are through the middle of next week with that low pressure diving south across the country, and then the ECMWF wants to lock us into a prolonged cold spell. That low pressure, the GEM I should say, wants to lock us into a prolonged cold spell. That low pressure slips to the south. We open up the easterly northeasterly winds on Thursday the 30th, and then we just get locked in really, these areas of low pressure that the other models want to bring through the country and potentially deliver snow. They just slide away to the south, and actually we stay under more or less high pressure conditions, but low pressure stuck out to the west and to the southwest of the country. On Sunday the 2nd of February, for instance, there's the low pressure to the southwest of Ireland. Now there is a weather front there that would be bringing snow to Ireland, Wales and southwestern England, but many parts are actually dry and bitterly cold there, and we stay mainly dry and cold I think as we go through to day 10, Monday the 3rd of February. Risk of some snow in the south perhaps, but many areas will be dry. Pressure rising over Greenland as well, 1,055 millibars. That really is locking us into a very prolonged sort of cold pattern there on the Canadian model. But I think that's over the top. The Canadian does have a flaw, really, that it goes over the top with cold scenarios. I think that is too much. It's a bit overdone. My instinct is that the GFS and the ECMWF are the way to go with this, which is that we will turn increasingly cold through next week. We'll open the floodgates to that northeasterly wind, and then we're going to have problems at the end of next week and into the first weekend of February as the Atlantic tries to come in and bumps up against that cold air. I do think there could be the growing chance of some fairly significant snow some parts of the country. Difficult to say where it could be at this stage, it's too early, but keep checking back because things are starting to get very, very interesting. Weekend forecast tomorrow, no doubt a lot of this will be in play for the weekend forecast, so come back for that. Thanks for watching, bye for now.